Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to my business educational platform. Today is our fifth lecture of Introduction to Management. In previous lecture, we discussed the topics from chapter 2, that were the general administrative theories, quantitative approach, and the organizational behavior. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss the topics from chapter 2 that include systems approach, contingency approach, and the current trends and issues. So, the system approach. Before starting the system approach, I would like to tell you what the system is. So, basically, the system is the way through which the organizations operate. As per the book, it describes the system as a system of interrelated and interdependent parts arranged in a manner that produce a unified whole. So basically there exists the two types of system that include the closed system and the open system. In closed system, the organizations do not interact with their stakeholders, suppliers. What they do, they only focus on the internal growth. They are not influenced by and do not interact with their environment. All system input and output is the internal. Then we have the open system. In open system, the organizations directly interact with the stakeholders, suppliers. They dynamically interact to their environment by taking its inputs and transforming them into output that are distributed into their environments. So this is how the system work. We provide the inputs, then it process and then it produce some output. So there are certain implications from the systems, like the organizations cannot survive in isolations. What they have to do, they have to communicate with the other departments and work with the synergy effect, like 1 + 1 = 3. So as per their implications, the first implication is the coordination of the organization's part is essential for proper functioning of the entire organization. Then we have the second implication, that is the decisions and actions taken in one area of the organization will have an impact in other areas of the organization. So organizations have to take in account the both sides. So in third point, there is the organizations are not self-contained and therefore must adapt to changes in their external environments. So the organizations cannot live in the isolation. What they have to do, they have to focus the external environment as well. So in chapter 2 we have the management history also. So we are going to discuss what the management history is. Then the contingency approach. I hope you understood all the management's history from the chapter 2, like general administrative theories and the quantitative approach, scientific approach, the Taylor's 14th point. Now we are moving forward to the contingency approach. So what is the contingency approach basically? Basically the contingency approach is, if the one plan A fails, then what you will do. So we must have the plan B in order to fulfill the plan A. If we are planning something and it fails, what we can do, we must have the second plan in order to accomplish the organization's goal. So as per book, it is the contingency approach, also known as the situational approach. So there is no one universally applicable set of management principles, rules by which management and by which to manage organizations. So there should not be the one way of managing the organizations. If there will be the one way, then the decision should be easy and we should not focus on the other sides. So organizations must have the plan B in order to fulfill the organizational goals. So organizations are individually different, face different situations, contingency variables, and require different ways of managing. So the organizations should have the variables available. If one variable fails, then they must have another variables. So what are these contingency variables? These variables, we will discuss them in later, but management is harder than it looks. So management is not as easy as it looks. So management must have to consider and it must have to be flexible as per the variable that arises from the environment. Managers need to look for key contingencies that differentiate today's situation from yesterday's situation. So the situation that remain the yesterday will not remain same as per the today. So managers must have to take into account it as well. Managers need to spend more time analyzing problems before taking any action. So they have to pay attention to qualifying phrases such as usually. So the key contingency variables which I was discussing are organization size. So sometimes the size of organizations increases, like the organizations go globally, they establish their subsidiaries into the other countries. So the organization size, as the organization size increases, so they have to take their variables as well. Some of routine of tasks technology, like there exists the improvement into the technology. We are becoming more day by day technological supporters, so we have to take into account it as well. So we have to adopt the new technologies in order to compete in the organizations, elsewise we will fail. Then we have environmental uncertainty, like sometimes there exists the political changes, economical changes, sometimes there exists the social inflation, sometimes there don't exist the inflation, sometimes there is the high unemployment rate. So we have to take into account all these things. We must have a plan B in order to fulfill the plan A. If the plan A fails, then we must have ready the plan B in order to accomplish the organization's goals. Sometimes there exist the individual differences, like sometimes we have the ethical backgrounds from other countries, or there exists the diversity. That's why we have to take into account as well. So what are the current trends and issues that a management facing? So these trends issues like globalization, ethics, workforce diversity, entrepreneurship, e-business, knowledge management, learning organizations, and quality management. So let us discuss them one by one. So basically the globalization is the process of from moving the one place to another place. So management in international organizations, it becomes very hard to manage in international organizations. It becomes very hard to analyze their political situation, their economical situation, their social situation, their technological situations. Some countries are advanced in technology. Take an example of America, take an example of Europe. They are advanced in the technology. So we have to take into account these things. Political and cultural changes of operating in global market, so we have to take into account these things as well. Working with people from different cultures, movement of job to countries with low cost labor. Sometimes there exist the skills labor, sometimes there exist unskilled labor, sometimes the labor exists that is very costly, sometimes there is the cheap labor. So we have to take into account all these things. So we must have in order plan B in order to fulfill the plan A. If a plan A fails, then we must have the plan B in order to fulfill that plan. Then there is the code of ethics. In some countries there is the different code of conduct, in some countries there is the different code of conduct. So it increased the emphasis on ethics education in college curriculums. So we must educate the ethics in college curriculums, increase creations and use of codes of ethics by business. That the codes, these codes are being used in this country, and these codes are being used in this country, and these codes are being conduct are used in this organization. So we must make aware the ethics to the our employees. So the workforce diversity, there exists the workforce from different cultures, increasing heterogeneity in the workforce, more gender, minority, ethnic, and other forms of diversity in employees. Sometimes there exists the more gender, like there exists sometimes there exists the job ceiling, job cliffs, workforce diversity exists. So we have to take into account all these things, so that the employees feel motivated. Then aging workforce, older employees who work longer and do not retire. Then we have the entrepreneurship, the process of starting new business generally in response to opportunities. Entrepreneurship process starts from the pursuit of opportunities, innovation in products, services, or business methods, desire for continual growth of the organization. Then we have the learning organization, an organization that has developed the capacity to continuously learn, adapt, and change. So organizations do not remain the same as it was yesterday. They have to adapt the changes that arises from the environment, from the every perspective of the pest analysis. Then we have the knowledge management, the cultivation of knowledge, learning culture where organizations members systematically gather and share knowledge with others in order to achieve better performance. Then we have to manage the quality as well. The quality is defined as the meeting or exceeding the expectations from the customers. A philosophy of management driven by continual improvement in the quality of work processes and responding to customer needs and expectations. Quality is not directly related to cost. Poor quality result in lower productivity. So I hope you understood all the management theories from the general administrative theories, quantitative approach theories, systematic approaches, and the contingency approaches. So that was all from the today's lecture. I see you in next lecture. Till now, Allah Hafiz.